a production of Flint Energies, your local touch-tone energy cooperative. Front Porch Chats brings you along while we discuss interesting events, people in history, programs, and hidden gems located in Central and Southwest Georgia. Grab a glass of iced tea while we chat for a spell. I'm your host, Natalie Bradley, and today we are talking to one of our Bright Ideas teachers, and we want to give you some really great information and possibly some tips and ideas on how you can think out of the box and get a little bit wild, teachers, with your lesson plans and creativity and how it can actually pay off and be very rewarding. So welcome, Jake.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. And I also have Blair Brown with us. So Jake Harvey is a teacher from Mossy Creek Middle, and I'm going to let him tell you exactly what he does in just a second. And Blair Brown is our education specialist. So she's over all of our education programs. So you want to give a quick rundown of what programs that kind of high level includes?
Absolutely. In my job as youth and education specialist at Flint Energies, I am over all of our education programs, including college scholarships, Washington Youth Tour, Give Us an A, Bright Ideas grants, Full Steam Ahead grant, and also our energy education programs that we take into our school systems.
And today we're mostly going to focus on Bright Ideas, but what's really cool about Jake is he's also won our Full Steam Ahead grant, and he's also received our foundation grant before. So you've done all the things. So tell us, what is it exactly that you do at Mossy Creek Middle School?
Okay, I teach computer science at Mossy Creek Middle. I teach 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade students on a daily basis.
Why don't we just start out with what was your creative lesson plan? What did that look like? And we'll just take it from there. Let's start there.
Okay, my idea was to basically get kids into coding and make it more fun, but I had to reach out to them and kind of hook them. And their idea or something that they like that I know they are interested in is video games. And we were already coding video games in a program called Scratch, and that was cool, but there was some missing components. So my idea was, let's have the kids create and code their own video game and then do all the artwork for it. And then we will build and create an old school arcade and kind of bring back that classic arcade. And then the goal is, once the kids finish the whole project, do the arcade build, decorate it, do all the graphic design for it, we would have our own classic arcade that students created, built, and designed. And then we could also use that as a fundraising tool for other various clubs or activities, or maybe the teacher. Well, I know the teachers would like playing the games too. But that was kind of the big idea, and I got lucky and won.
Yeah, well, I think all the adults listening are also thinking, like, why didn't we have this in middle school? I'm bitter.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I want to go back.
I like video games.
I might have liked middle school if I had this room. So I love, though, that they got to not only like design it, but you let them do the graphic design and decorate it and really like take ownership. I think that's super cool. Do you want to talk about, on the other end, Blair, like looking at this application, do you remember like what stood out to you, to the judges, of something like what makes it creative? I mean, I think we can think like, obviously, what makes it creative, but like what's really fun about this from your perspective?
I think from my perspective, both I look at it as not only the administrator of the program, but also as a parent. You know, I have a 10-year-old son, and he loves video games too, and I just think that I know that if he loves things like that, how much other kids his age and around that age are going to hook onto that and just sink into learning about coding and any kind of technology and engineering interests that they may have. So, you know, and that connects back to STEAM and our support and development of STEAM education within our schools. And so it was just a major hit, and we love that we were able to fund this project for him.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what did the kids think?
The kids are really excited. It's kind of funny because when they walk in and they see, I have 2 that were built, they see those and they're like, do those work? And then because they're off, like during the day, typically they're completely off, but they'll sit there and like play with the buttons or touch the joystick. And then there's all these questions that start coming, and they start asking, hey, can I did, and then they find out that they were built and made at the school, and they're like, I want to do that. Can I do that? Can we do that? And then from that day on, even this semester, I've gotten students that have constantly asked me like, when can we turn that on? When can we do that? When can we do this? And I said, we'll get there. So it's a lot of excitement.
It just seems like it's the perfect way to get them, like you said, hooked on the coding, the technology, the fun stuff that can turn into our future engineers or just creative thinkers in different ways. So writing the application, what was your experience in writing? Let's focus on Bright Ideas in particular. Like, what was that like from a teacher's perspective? Completing the application online, was it hard? Was it scary? Was it easy?
I found that the application process for this was very streamlined. It was not hard. You have your idea and you pitch the idea. You have to have obviously a good reason, educational based reason for it. But then it was so easy to fill out. You fill out, okay, so here's my big idea. This is what I want to do. Okay, now I have to kind of backtrack and think, what are all the components that I would need to purchase? Where can I get them? And typically I look to see, I'll cross check like Amazon or all of the school approved. I'll take and look at all those different places to see their prices and compare. And usually I try to get the cheapest price, because the cheaper you can get, the more I can build. And then after that, I talked about the standards, and then I really started thinking, okay, so I know it will directly impact the kids in my classroom. Now let's start thinking, how can I draw in other students that I wouldn't normally see? And then that would go to after school activities or fun nights or PBIS events and that kind of stuff. And after working through, I think it maybe took me like 10 minutes, to be honest, because I had already had this idea tooling around in my head, and then just putting it on paper. I think the easiest thing to do is really just take like a Google Doc or a Microsoft Word doc and just type it all out and just kind of brain dump everything on it and then preset it. And initially when I went in, that's kind of what I did, looked at the questions, and then I was like, oh, okay. And then I just took it and just adapted it on the document and then just copied it and pasted it.
And that's probably why it was so quick for you. You were organized and you had done your research before going in. So what advice would you give other teachers who are thinking about Bright Ideas, or they may be even psyching themselves out, like, I'm not going to win, it's too hard, or there's too much competition, which there is a lot of healthy competition. But what kind of advice can you offer them?
I would say don't be scared. Go right ahead and do it. Even if you think it's a crazy idea, because I kind of thought to myself that with the video game one, it's like, all right, I don't really think there's going to be a lot of buy-in, because I don't know the age group of the board members or the people that were overviewing everything. So to me, I was like, all right, I think a younger crowd definitely would get that, but when you get a little bit older, there's a disconnect. So I didn't know, but I just say, do it anyways. Whatever your idea is, it's worth your time. And it's definitely, if you don't win it one year, don't stop. Keep putting in and keep putting in. The more you put in and the more they keep seeing eventually, I'm pretty sure you would have a pretty good chance of getting selected.
Yeah, and that's been your experience,
yeah,
right, Blair?
Absolutely, yeah. This past year, we had 100 teachers who completed applications for Bright Ideas grants, and we were able to fund up to $25,000 of those grants, which is fantastic, and we're very grateful from the Flint Foundation for doing that each year. So, like Jake said, just keep applying, be thorough in your application, as if you were wanting to make sure everything was covered, everything was explained for the judges, but just give us all that information so we can make a better decision.
And I also think that once you do it and if you win and you follow through with it, then that's the piece that's like, call them, invite them, show them, because they want to see that too. They need to see the back end, because I don't know how many times they win, but you never really get to come back to revisit. And I think that's cool, because then it also shows like, oh wow, look at what they're doing with the money and the project, and it's really neat to see those connections, because you pitched them the idea, but I don't know how many times you ever get to see that.
And I mean, that's something that we're constantly trying to go back and get pictures, get video, get something so that we can share that. And actually, speaking of that, you'll be able to go on the blog and check out pictures. And I think we're going to do video from one of the projects that we're going to talk about as well, so that you guys can see some of what we're talking about that Jake's done in his classroom. And you're going to be like, whatever, this is awesome. So what about the hydroponics? Was that a different grant?
That was a different grant. It first started out with a foundation grant, and that initially started a long time ago with a group of 4 of us, 4 teachers, and then we kind of had this little idea, and then it just started to grow from there. And then it basically, I applied, I should say, for the grant, and we ended up getting it, and we got 20 hydroponic towers, and we were showing the kids farm to table, but within small urban spaces. And we wanted the kids to kind of, not only did it serve as a farm to table experience, but they did researching and Shark Tanking their ideas and had to pitch their own hydroponic model and research and all of the data that they found. But we also kind of wanted it, or at least I know from my perspective, I wanted it to be more of a sensory thing as well. Like I want you to touch it, smell it, taste it. Then I also want you to build a website. I want you to work on looking up what these plants are so that like you can cook with them, or what could we actually do with this. So there was that home connection in the bigger picture, and it kind of brought it all in. And it was really cool. I still have students. I had a student today actually came in, popped in. They were doing a recycling project, and he's at Perry High. He popped in. He said, "Are you still doing the hydroponic towers?" And I went and showed him the room. He's like, "Oh my!" Because he did. He was there when we only had like 4, and we just started before we ever won the grant. So he got to actually see like, "Oh my gosh! Like you did this whole thing," and it was cool to see his reaction with that. And he goes, "I remember this and I remember that," and so that was really neat. That was rewarding. Anytime a student comes in and can share those experiences or say, "I remember when." That always is a good feeling because that was an experience and you made a little impact on them.
You made an impact, yeah.
And that's what
it's
we
like
go
an
for.
Indoor, large-scale kitchen garden.
Yeah, yes.
It's beautiful, and I want one.
Yeah, I love them. I love them.
Yeah, now I'm like, okay, what can I talk my husband into letting me get hydroponics related? I'm like, this is our porch. Welcome. So since we just talked about a completely different project, Blair, can you kind of go over what is the Full Steam Ahead grant as well?
Sure. So the Full Steam Ahead grant was created in 2019, and it's also funded by the foundation. And it allows us to give 2 $3,000 grants to the schools within our service area who are exploring or have submitted an application for projects within the areas of our STEAM topics, which is science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And they submit these applications, and it has to impact more than 60% of the school population in some way or another. We have seen things from science fairs, parent engagement nights, STEAM nights, to actual things where they purchased materials, they did cross-subject projects where one department used it. I think it was at Perry High School a couple of years ago. The theater department submitted the grant and they did puppets, but they worked with the technology department to create videos for lessons from the literature department, and they created lessons that the students could watch.
Oh, that's cool.
So it was just a really neat collaboration between departments to be able to use those funds that way. But back in 2022, Jake won with Mossy Creek Middle School for his project with the AgRobot, and he could tell you more about that.
We had the hydroponics. We wanted to compare data between the hydroponic towers and then a more tech-based traditional farming, which is the FarmBot. And we actually ordered a FarmBot pre-COVID, and it got stuck in the shipping container somewhere, and it got delayed so long. We actually just asked for a refund and got our money back. And then when this opportunity came up, I reapplied for it and went through the whole process of getting the software approved and through the county. And then we also had to I had several students last year help me frame up and build a rolling garden bed basically with the FarmBot. And the FarmBot is really cool. It will seed. it will water, it will weed, and then it's basically like a CNC for planting. It's really cool. And it has a camera on it, and there's an online, the kids can control everything on the computer, and it's basically like a big grid system on the computer, and they can pick little icons of what the plants are. And if you put the seeds in the seed tray that you assign it to, you can plant where you want anywhere on that grid. Coordinate planes,
That's
lots of cool
awesome.
stuff like that. But it's cool. It's very neat. I do want to say this. I had a lot of help, and this is something I think that a lot of teachers, especially, I think all teachers, they have different people that have different jobs within the building, and not only in the building, but on the board. And my CIS team, which there's a couple people on that team that have been very helpful, that helped me connect to some of the right people. And then I also have like some cybersecurity people that have also helped me kind of fueled my thoughts and say, hey, yeah, that sounds like they're really cool. And some of these people are prior teachers and some of them not. But I think teachers need to know that they can reach out to and just kind of throw your idea out there and talk about it, because you never know what these people are into or what their hobbies are, and if it's something they connect with, they're more than willing to help. And it's a lot easier when you have a lot of people on board to kind of help you get the job done or get that project completed. And I have had a lot of help from them as far as like going through the right steps and getting their advice on things that like I didn't know, as far as like the process of getting software approved and things of that nature. And happened with the Bright Ideas one, actually, both of them happen to really enjoy video games. So a shout out to Larry Wadsworth and JC Hill.
That's
so
awesome.
Thank you for helping me.
That's very helpful. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Also, Jake was just named.
He was named Teacher of the Year for, I guess it's 24-25 for Mossy Creek Middle School.
So,
congratulations.
Yes, it's
Thank
so
you.
exciting. And I think, everybody that's listening can tell why. So it's kind of obvious. Like, you're obviously an amazing teacher. So make sure that you go over to the blog and you go check out all the pictures, go check out all the video, and you can see some of what they've done in Jake's classroom and maybe get some ideas, and reach out if you have any questions. On the Full Steam Ahead, you want to say what time of year that normally opens and closes?
Sure. So the Full Steam Ahead applications are usually open beginning of January and go through March.
And Bright Ideas opens?
Bright Ideas opens in June and goes through the second week in September.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys so much.
All right,
Thank you.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, we need your help. Please give us a 5-star review wherever you're listening to this podcast. It really does help us get this information out to more people about what's going on in Central and Southwest Georgia. Also, share this podcast on social media with your friends and family, because it helps get more eyes and ears on what we have going on in our fabulous communities. Thank you.